this point in Israel, we're at Jerusalem, and we'll show some of the sites that most people kind of know about. First, a nice little panoramic. You can see, of course, the old city in the wall, and the other place, this is kind of residential and just goes and goes and goes. The first stop is this garden. And the reason why this garden is so important is because this is the place where the resurrection happened. This hole right there is actually where they put the body of Jesus. Inside they can show you where it lays down and the whole story behind it, and they actually give it to you. You get the whole long version, which apparently you can read a book all about it. The next stop is not too far away. You can walk through the city streets. Is a place where another body is buried, supposedly, I guess. And this is King David's tomb, the guy who slew Goliath. As you walk in, you walk through a lot of Orthodox Jews, and they have their books, and they're all studying. Apparently, from what they told me, they're all the Torah or interpretations of the Torah. I don't know, I can't read Hebrew, so I have to take their word for it. As for what it is just seems to be a stone. Maybe there's something in there, I don't know, but it's a pretty sacred place. You have to actually put a yarmulke on to get in. And of course, some random views of the city, because it's kind of hilly here, so you can kind of get up on ledges and kind of look around. Then there's this church, and the reason this church is here, the church is fairly new. I mean, I guess fairly new is like 300 years or something like that. But the main thing is, again, it has catacombs where a lot of ancient burials were done. People were buried there. I guess it's pretty extensive. And then apparently there's a whole underground to the city. I'll have more on that later. Because again, the city was actually built upon the ruins of other cities as the city got conquered and razed, and then they rebuilt on top of the wreckage, and that's kind of how it went in the old days. And then there's more ruins, and then finally, kind of one of the coup de grace. Here what you're seeing is actually the Skyway Walk that's up to the Temple. One of the holiest sites in, technically the world, and I think it's the second or third. I think it's the third when it comes to Islam. But that's the gangway walking up. There's 2 security checkpoints. but that's not a big deal. But on the way up, you can get a big view. Right there is the Wailing Wall. I'll visit it, and it'll probably be in the next video. You can actually, the thing that really sticks out to you is you can see that divide. The small portion, that's where the women are allowed to touch the wall. And the portion on the left, that's where the men are allowed to touch the wall. This is Solomon's Temple, which was destroyed by the Romans, I don't know, 100 AD or something like that, never allowed to be rebuilt. Supposedly it's supposed to be rebuilt in end times, for the end of days. But eventually you can get on top of the grounds of the Temple Mound. The Temple Mound itself is kind of expansive, since it's supposedly this huge temple back in the day. And you can walk around. I don't really know a lot about anything about the buildings that are around there, but I just walked around and took pictures. It was kind of like dreary and a little rainy, so it's actually really kind of sparse. As for going inside, you're not allowed to go inside unless you're a Muslim. And that's a rule they strictly enforce, and they knew I was not a Muslim. But the actual story behind it goes like this, is that supposedly in there's a rock where Abraham was asked to sacrifice his firstborn child by God, and then right before he did it, God said, no, don't do it, you've proven your faith. That's supposedly what happened in there. I don't know, I haven't seen any pictures of inside. I'm sure there are some on the internet. But you can walk around. It's obviously very well decorated. I asked what it read I asked what it read along the top, and the guide said he couldn't read it. I don't know if he couldn't read it or he just didn't want to tell me what it said. But he said it's probably just verses from the Quran, which makes sense. But anyway, this was one of those things that, I just kind of wanted to see for myself, but, it's not on everyone's bucket list, but since it's such a hotly tested, hugely debated, such a tension-filled area, I just want to see it for myself. So, I did. And I'll see some other things too in the future.